Come fly with me, let's fly away.
So the first day of the 2012 Myanmar Investment Conference has ended, and I was really impressed at the kind of companies that we found here, the kind of people who were showing up. We had GE, Dow Chemical, Dole, the fruit guys, E&I, the big Italian oil and gas company that we actually own inside the TSI portfolio is here. Statoil from Norway is here. PTT Oil out of Thailand is here. And they've all come because, you know, Myanmar is opening up for the first time in like 60 some odd years, and there's an amazing amount of investment opportunities that are emerging in this place, from oil and gas, from the agriculture sector. You got hotel and tourism that's really kicking up here, because you can barely find a hotel room in Yangon these days because there's so many people flowing through this place. You know, Eric and I are here. We're one of only we're two of only 8 Americans who have come here, and there's like 300 people from more than 20 countries who have showed up at this conference. And the fact that, you know, we're 2 of 8 shows you that, you know, we're really trying to be ahead of the crowd and get here before you get a bunch of Americans flocking into the place. But it's Americans that, you know, this place is really looking for. Myanmar definitely wants American investment in this country. One of the comments from one of the deputy ministers here today is talking about Hillary. Hillary Clinton was here, you know, a couple months ago, and when she got back to the U.S., she was stating that, you know, she's encouraging U.S. companies to begin looking at investing in Myanmar once all the sanctions have begun to be lifted, and, you know, the U.S. is in the process of doing that right now. And that's where the big headache is for the country at the moment, because most of the cash that's flowing into this place is all coming from Eastern nations, particularly China, and I'll tell you about that in a second. They put a massive amount of money in here. But you don't get many Western companies investing here because you've had all these sanctions for eons here. And now that Hillary's telling U.S. companies to begin investing, the expectation is you're going to begin seeing huge money flows coming through Myanmar because of the opportunities that are emerging. That's why we had Coke recently announce that they're going to start coming back into Myanmar after a long 60-year hiatus here. So once that happens, all the cash begins flowing through. Once you get all the cash flowing through, you're really going to see a lot of profits begin to crop up in companies that are investing here. And that's why we've put a stock in a portfolio recently that is a little oil and gas company that's going to have, it's already profitable here, and it's been in Myanmar since about 1996, so it's one of the early investors in this country. But it's oil and gas that's really quite interesting, and some of the numbers that were being thrown around today. You know, there's a big pipeline that's being built now from the west coast of Myanmar all the way up into China's Yunnan province up to Kunming. And what's really interesting about that is that it takes 10 days of travel time off of oil and gas coming out of the Middle East. It's going to China, and it means China gets to bypass the Malacca Straits going through Malaysia, which is a notorious sort of pirate hangout, causes all kind of problems for shipping. Plus it takes 10 days off of the shipping network, which is really beneficial to China. So that's going to be a huge benefit. It goes right through one of the oil fields where the company we just put into the portfolio, is where other production is actually based. That's about a $2.6 billion project that's going in right now. It's going to be finished in 2013. Very beneficial. At the same time, speaking of China, right now China represents 45% of the oil and gas investments in Myanmar. And just to show you the power that China has, 10 years ago China's investment in Myanmar was $67 million. Nothing. They barely registered on the list of companies, or a list of countries that were investing here. Today, China's investment is $13.9 billion, and they are by far the single largest investor in Myanmar, which raises a really interesting challenge that's going to be emerging between the Chinese and America, in that you have China with all this cash that's already begun flowing in here, and now you have America that's beginning to want to put cash here, and I think you're going to have sort of the clash of the titans happen here in Myanmar as you get all this American money beginning to flow in here. China's not going to be very happy with that, because now you're going to have China and U.S. fighting for the same resource base that exists here. Some of the other information that was quite interesting here, if I can find it in my notes. Myanmar has 17 oil and gas basins around the country, and our company that we've put in is a big player in one of those, and it's in a field that's been around since the 1800s, 1883, and this field is still producing after more than 100 years, which is quite impressive. But the real important point to note is, of those 17 oil and gas basins, only 12 of them are totally unexplored or little explored. So the vast majority of the oil and gas opportunities that exist in this country haven't even been touched yet. So that's going to open up a huge amount of possibilities. Let's see, and I think that's pretty much everything from day one. We'll be back with you tomorrow with the final wrap-up of what we learned here in Myanmar. Thanks a lot.